Hi, my name is LarryRasmussen, and my communities of accountability are the Lutheran Church, William Lazarev, who was my bishop, the World Council of Churches, Union Theological Seminary, teachings of Reinhold, Niebuhr, and Dietrich Bonhoeffer. In addition, my communities of accountability also include the earth itself, its sustainability, as a term applying to human society. The work I'm trying to accomplish as a life goal is to mentor a generation of Christian theologians, atheists, church leaders, and the general public in the new fields of eco-theology and ethics, as well as a chance to contribute to the greening of religion. I'd like to change human behaviors in regards to Earth and its sustainability. I'm determined to inspire people to change the way they live, highlighting the role of the religious community in environmental issues. For the past 10 years, I've been directing a project called Earth Honoring Faith, a Song of Songs at Ghost Ranch, New Mexico. The topic of the 10th and last workshop this year is Journey of the Universe. The goal of this series is to construct justice-centered, earth-honoring Christianities that promote interfaith efforts on common Earth issues. In my opinion, the principal duty of a Christian, besides worship in the community, prayer, the Bible, the doing the right thing, the principal duty is to have faith that is earth-honoring and earth-healing. Fidelity to God means fidelity to earth. Christians should love the earth and enter into the suffering of the earth in order to participate in its redemption. It's not enough to just fall in love with earth. Our faith means falling in love with Jesus as well. That is the principal duty of a Christian. My principal audience are church and its people, people of faith, especially pastors, seminarists, spiritual directors, and others in leadership positions at church, as well as its members and members of the World Council of Churches, members of the Society of Christian Ethics, also generations of Christian theologians, atheists, my students at various institutions and universities, my lecture listeners and attendees, and religious folks in general. My conception of power is that all power comes from God, who shares it with creatures to the end so that they may achieve their own potential, each according to its kind. Power is the flow energy in the universe, apart from which nothing that is exists. Nothing good ever happens apart from power, just as nothing evil does, for the same simple reason. Nothing can. Power is what lets us and everything else stand out from nothingness. My principal truth claims. Number 1, the planet well-being is primary, while human well-being is derivative, and not the other way around. We must attend to the well-being of the whole ecosystem of the earth, which humans subset of. We don't consider ourselves bone of its bone and flesh of its flesh, though indeed we are. Turning to God means turning to earth. Claim number 2. Experiencing the grace of God requires falling in love with earth. Christians should love the earth and enter into the suffering of the earth. Claim number 3. Religion can affect our conversion to sustainable communities, but not without a significant reform. For that reason, refusing to act as responsible representatives of God, who value the life and well-being of other members of creation, the injustice of grabbing more than in one's due, to the arrogance of treating the earth and its inhabitants as property at one's disposal, all of this should be understood as sins. Lastly, claim number 4, the life of faith is a journey inward, tethered to a journey outward, never the one without the other. How we live here is the issue. The principal sources I use to justify my claims. I use an impressively wide and deep body of sources that are luckily available to me in today's world. From 4th century bishops to modern scientists and hard data, I seek out earth-harming trends in all categories. I find wisdom and examples of earth-honoring faith in all of the world's religions. I use both sciences and humanities. I also use gospel scripture and texts of the works of Reinhold, Niebuhr, as well as Dietrich Bonhoeffer and other theologians. My attitude towards church and institutions. There's never been a time when church hasn't been a part of my life. Its continuous community of reference. In my opinion, church is always embedded in the social order and relations of its context, which shape not only its role but its identity. I believe churches need to have 4 specific features. First, it must be inclusive community, reaching out not only within the borders of the U.S., but throughout the globe and embracing not only kinds of humans but also the natural world. It has to be community that crosses as many lines as possible, such as class lines, race lines, gender, sexual preference, single, married, young, old, doesn't matter. Truly inclusive community the way it is one today. Second, church must practice creativity through concrete practices that enable renewal of living traditions. Third, church need to understand themselves as havens, places for restoration and renewal. Finally, church should be communities for moral criticism. We need communities of moral formation and deliberation, of social experimentation and creativity, of spirituality, of local and global connections. Those are the kind of communities the churches have already been in, part and throughout history. My hope is in churches and organizations I'm involved with. My view of Jesus. The earthbound revelation of God is in Jesus. In Jesus we see the kind of God God is. Jesus Christ is at the center of all life on the earth. Christ at the center means responsibility, actions, justice, and compassion. The immanent nature of God is in the cross of Jesus Christ. While we may expect to see a majestic God in glory, power, and triumph, in Jesus we see a God, says Luther, in weakness and wretchedness, darkness, failure, sorrow, and despair. Jesus treats all his followers equally, regardless of their class, or gender, or race, or sexual orientation. If Jesus were to walk the earth today, he'd be pleased to see the diversity and inclusion of our communities. However, he'd be very displeased by the way humans treat earth as its property at their disposal. If I were to spend a couple of days as a part of the Pole community, same as Jesus, I would be simultaneously pleased and displeased by certain things. I'd also be pleased by diversity and inclusion present on campus. I'd also be pleased by eco-green initiatives practiced by some of the students. However, even though I believe that recycling and usage of reusable water bottles by some individuals is great, it's still not sufficient, as it relies on the voluntary action and change. Unfortunately, as Christians in today's world, we have very little in the way of feeling and kinship with the rest of nature. For example, I see how much paper is used on DePaul campus and how much trash and plastic is around. Really disappoints me. We must remember that Earth does not belong to us, we belong with it. We emerge from the Earth, we live on it, and we return back to the Earth as we die. Our calling is to preserve it.